Can we? So everyone wants to. Tom wants to be all pissy pants over here because I'm talking about Vladimir Putin.
Tom's been quiet for a while.
Good. That's why we're doing well today. Now
Tom,
relax.
go.
We're joking here, guys.
You know what, dude? Sometimes you're like France. You're like France. You're a member of NATO, but you're a pain in the ass to everybody else.
Patrick Bet David had to put his co-host Adam Sosnick in his place here live on the PBD podcast and the Valuetainment YouTube channel when Adam was just getting way too out of hand with his woke takes. Patrick Bet David you can tell he doesn't enjoy doing things like this. He likes Adam as a person, but sometimes Adam just gets too out of hand and PBD is forced to put Adam in his place, as well as other panel members here on the PBD podcast and the Valuetainment YouTube channel had to go after Adam because, like I said, he was just getting way too out of hand with his ridiculous woke take. Let's get into this clip here where Patrick Bet David absolutely annihilates his co-host Adam for his ridiculous woke takes here live on the PBD podcast and the Valuetainment YouTube channel.
Putin worth $200 billion.
That's my boy.
That's your guy. I know it.
It's my guy.
Unless we hold him to account, he'll keep stealing and he'll keep thieving in this kleptomaniac autocracy that's called Russia. Keep in mind one thing. The president of Russia, pull this up, Rob, pull up salary. The president of Russia makes about $135,000 a year. In America, it's $400,000. You know, it was right there. $120,000 per annum, not in rubles. How is someone that makes that amount of money worth $200 billion?
I love that you're bringing this up. So this leads me to one thing. If this is what you really believe about that people who do this, then in 2024 on November 5th, you're only voting for one person because that one person is not using the government's money to run. That one person used his own money to run.
RFK you're talking about?
Not RFK.
Oh.
That guy's using...
Nikki?
No, it's only one
Trump.
guy. You know who he is.
Got
So, meanwhile, if you want to find that net worth before and after, Rob, if you want to pull up, Obama's, Clinton's, and Biden's net worth before and
Bernie
after.
or Pelosi.
If you can do this would be a great exercise for Adam because I like where Adam's going with.
Any of them are billionaires, I'd be shocked.
Well, if
but
you can,
$200 billion, richest man in the world.
That's the one right
level.
there. So zoom in that one right there. So that's pretty interesting. So Trump's net worth before running $4.5 billion. Now it's $2 billion. Obama's $3 million. Now $40 million. Clinton's $500,000. Now $100 million. And then you got Biden's is on that list as well. So, you're kind of interesting the angle and direction you're taking. I didn't think you were going to be this bold this morning with this story, specifically the fact that it impacts America. And the difference between us and them is you're right. In a communistic nation, you can steal more and get away with it because there is less regulation. In a country like ours that there's more regulation, you have to be more deceptive and conniving and more slick to be able to steal money. And you got to give respect if you're saying you're valuing the fact that you don't like people going into politics and then all of a sudden becoming rich and having houses in Hawaii and paddleboarding. You take a day off, you don't take a day off, and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean that's a very, very good political point you just made right there, Mr. Adams.
You bring up a great point,
yeah.
And I as someone that minored and double majored in sarcasm, I see what you're doing. I respect you. There's a big difference between, and not that I'm advocating, there's a big difference between 40 million, 100 million, and $200 billion.
There's a difference because
it's a principle, though. Like it's the principle of how they're getting the money that they're really discussing, right? It's not about the actual amount of money. It's the principle of the thing. And PBD is correct, but also he's even more correct than I think Patrick Bet David even realizes, or that anybody on the PBD podcast here even realizes, because they play by different rules over there in Russia. For sure, they play by different rules, but as we've realized over the last few years, especially, we've realized it a ton. It seems like there's been like a singularity of us realizing these things, that we get fed just as much propaganda as a lot of these other countries who we used to laugh at and look down upon because their government feeds them so much propaganda that they view us and other countries in a certain way, and they view their own country in a certain way as well as a result of that propaganda. We are also a victim in America of this same sort of propaganda that we didn't really realize as much until a few years ago, especially, I think 2020 was kind of like the singularity of this, of us realizing this stuff, that how much we're actually lied to. So not only do Russians and Putin in Russia play by different rules than Americans, but also we are fed this propaganda that probably makes Russia and Putin seem a whole lot worse than they actually are. And whenever people like Tucker Carlson go over there and visit Russia and interview Putin, he gets in trouble. Why? Because we're actually getting an insight as to what it's like to live in Russia. We're actually getting an insight as to who Vladimir Putin actually is, rather than just having to take our government and the propaganda machine in the United States word for it. So Patrick Bet-David is correct in that they play by different rules, but also I think he's a lot more correct than he even realizes because of the amount of propaganda that is fed to us in America.
Here's the real difference, homeboy. The difference is that's a guesstimated. The difference here is this is audited. So do you
question this guesstimation?
Of course I question.
Of
course I question the guesstimation. Will I say he's worth a couple $2 billion? Yes. Would I say he has used the power that he has to take money away XYZ? Yes. But you know what else that does? If you're going to go there, no problem. Would I say no one's increased their net worth more because this person's learned his habits from Putin? You know who's probably gotten the richest if that guesstimation applies to people that steal money from their government and nobody catches them? There's this guy down the street from Russia. Okay, they're like a block away from each other. What's Zelenskyy? This guy's name? Zelenskyy.
Oh, the guy with the green
So
shirts?
you know what? The Zelenskyy guy has probably increased his net worth the most the last 2 years, Adam, if that's correct. And I think probably maybe Putin behind closed doors angry because Zelenskyy is getting richer than him. Because there is no way in the history of mankind we've had a better beggar, a better fundraiser, a better guy that goes around and raising money and pleading and crying and all this stuff. And then somehow, some way, he's getting richer and doing commercials with clothes that cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 with him and his beautiful wife.
This might get uncomfortable.
Here we go.
If you were the president of Ukraine.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Yeah.
Your name was PBD Zelenskyy.
Okay.
And you were invaded by this thug called Vladimir Putin. What would you do?
What do you mean?
Would you not go beg, plead, borrow money? Would you not appeal to NATO and your European allies? Would you not try to go and basically market yourself to the world as, help me out here, I've been invaded? What would you do?
You just changed the story.
I'm asking you a question.
No, you're changing the story.
Okay.
What I'm saying to you is, one could make the argument for Zelenskyy also being one of the richest people in the world who's stealing money, and that's speculation. What Fox is also doing is they're speculating. By the way, a speculation that the world probably believes in. No one's questioning that. But the difference is we don't have law and order in Russia the way we have law and order in America, which is why we like law and order. But for you to believe that if the law and order and the ability and the control was available to the Clintons and Obamas and others to create that kind of wealth, they're probably going to sleep at night envious that they can't steal that kind of money and use their politics to make a lot of money.
With all due respect, my CEO, my friend Patrick Bet-David, this has nothing to do with the Clintons and Obamas, and we can talk about that.
But it does, No, it does.
And I believe they should be held to account.
But they're not going to.
They're never going to.
They're not going to.
Okay, can we? So everyone wants to. Tom wants to be all pissy pants over here because I'm talking about Vladimir Putin.
Tom's been quiet for a while.
Good. That's why we're doing well today. Now here
Tom,
relax. We're joking here, guys.
You know what, dude? Sometimes you're like France. You're like France. You're a member of NATO, but you're a pain in the ass to everybody else.
Good one, Tom. No one understood that one.
Yes,
but here's my question. Can everyone be wrong, but can Putin be way more wrong? So here's a question before you answer that.
Listen, this guy's a former KGB member. I don't know how many times I have to tell you. He's a gangster. Yeah. You know what gangsters do?
They do gangster shit.
They do gangster stuff, RICO. But then RICO laws don't apply to politicians. Do you not understand that? Do you not understand that the way to go into, you start off and you say, I want to make a lot of money. If you start off and you say, I want to make a lot of money, or you want to have a lot of power. If you want to make a lot of money, you go into business. You have to bust your ass, build equity, work your ass up for a couple of decades, and then you're going to have some money, right? But if you go in politics, how do you make money in politics? How do you actually make money in politics?
Crony capitalism, lobbyists, it's shady business. I agree.
Which means the part that I'm agreeing with you is anybody who has been a lifelong member of politics, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and they get rich, they're stealing from you, period. Anybody that all of a sudden creates that kind of wealth, that's what they're doing. By the way, do you know who invested?
I also like the reason why I disagree with Adam here so much and why I agree with Patrick Bet David so much. And let me know in the comments who you agree with and who you disagree with. I'm sure it's going to be very split. The reason why I agree with PBD here so much and disagree with Adam is because Putin isn't stealing from me. Why do I care? You know who is stealing from me? Zelenskyy and Ukraine and all these other countries that we're funding with our tax dollars that we're paying. I get money, dude. I get money taken from me as it comes in, as it goes out, as I spend it, as it's just sitting there. It feels like there's tax dollars being taken from me all the time. And where is it going? Not to Putin. he don't need it. We're not sending him any money. We're sending it to Zelenskyy in Ukraine. Hundreds of billions of it. So that's why I don't understand why people like Adam. He makes a lot of money. Why are you so mad about Putin getting rich off of his people? He's not getting rich off of you. Zelensky's getting rich off of you. And that's why I find that to be a woke take. It's a virtue signaling take, because the Putin bad take is just such an easy one to have. Because it's like, yeah, like obviously he's not the greatest guy with the greatest morals, right? But if you're going to, you're kind of defending Zelenskyy in Ukraine if you're going to attack Putin. And I don't think we should be defending those people. I think they're all our enemies, personally. That's how I feel. I think Ukraine is probably more of an enemy at this point to our pockets than Russia is. And not that I think, I know for a fact that is true. So personally, I'm worried about me. I'm being selfish here. And I think we should be more selfish as a country instead of trying to play, hero to the entire world. We should be more selfish. Each one of us should be more selfish and say, who is taking money out of our pockets? Who is being detrimental to us right here, right now? The answer is not Vladimir Putin. He's not trying to invade the US. He's not trying to take money out of your pockets. Maybe he would, hypothetically, you could make the logical argument, I guess, hypothetically, that eventually he would try to invade you if we just let him do whatever he wants to do. But as of right now, that is not a problem that we have. What is a problem that we have is our tax dollars going to nonsensical wars, funding bloodshed that not anybody, we didn't vote for this. We didn't vote to have money be sent to Ukraine, hundreds of billions of dollars sent to Ukraine. Nobody voted for that. Nobody voted for our support for this war in the Middle East. Nobody voted for that. It's against our will. And what we're worried about is big bad Putin. Like, really, dude? He's not doing anything to you. That's what I don't understand.
In NVIDIA right before? Can you type in NVIDIA and type in Pelosi? You ever heard of these people called Pelosi and NVIDIA?
Nancy?
If you type in NVIDIA and you type in Pelosi, okay?
Oh, there she is.
Let's see when was
Nancy, this is a month ago. Nancy Pelosi disclosed a 7-figure bet on NVIDIA over the Christmas holiday, despite recent efforts to permanently ban lawmakers from trading stocks. What a great timing, Nancy Pelosi.
Guys,
the point is, he's doing it at much higher levels than others. You know why, though? One reason. Law and order, because he can. And guess who else doesn't have law and order? Ukraine, because he can. Guess who else doesn't have law and order? China, because they can. Guess who else doesn't have law and order? Iran. You know what Khamenei's are worth? Type in Khamenei net worth. Khamenei is a very traditional American last name, Rob, so you should know how to spell it. Khamenei starts with K-H. Khamenei
Spell
net
the mic,
worth.
Pat.
Khamenei net worth, family net worth, okay? If you type in
Who's that fisherman?
Rob, I can't believe you can't spell Khamenei.
Right there, go right there. No, second one, Rob. Just go to the second one. U.S. claims Khamenei controls wealth over what? $200 billion. They're richer than Putin. What's the point here? These stories, this is 5 years ago. If these guys were worth $200 billion 5 years ago, they're probably worth $600 billion today, $400 billion today. These are not new stories. Politicians in countries that lack law and order become richer than politicians in countries that there's law and order.
And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier with the propaganda. We are fed big bad Putin. Putin's this evil thug. And it's like, might not be entirely wrong, but there's two sides to every story. And if, we're so focused on Putin, we're so hyper focused on him, our propaganda is so hyper focused on him that, when Tucker Carlson tries to go interview him, he gets in trouble with the government and all this stuff. And there's other politicians out there, other supreme leaders, as they call themselves. I guess literally what Iran's leader is called, a supreme leader. He has also more money than Putin. And nobody talks about him. We don't ever hear about him. It makes you wonder, why is all this propaganda being spread about Putin more, in specific? Anyway, let me know in the comments who you agree with, who you disagree with. I'm sure this one will be, very divisive here in the comments. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys' points. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with Patrick Bet David here, or do you agree with Adam? And what did you think about this whole argument here on the PBD podcast and the Valuetainment YouTube channel?